And I mean, going back to just yesterday, with President Trump calling us their cherished 51st state. Every single elected politician in Canada should be working for the betterment and the safety
Right.
and security and prosperity of the Canadian people, and that's just not what we're seeing.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
don't
not
feel
what we're seeing.
cherished. I don't feel cherished by the Liberals. It's like that
No.
old saying where it's like a lot of you are going to have to suffer, but it's the cost I'm willing to pay. And
Right.
that's like the Liberal government right now. Um,
Yeah.
uh, Ministers Melanie Joly and Francois Philippe Champagne discuss Canada's approach ahead of negotiations with the U.S. amid a trade war. And I guess they must defend the unionized industries at all cost. Is it Francois Philippe Champagne? This looks like Dominic LeBlanc's ruddy face. Is this the right one? Oh, there she is. Okay, we're
Oh,
good. It might be Dominic LeBlanc and Jolie. Go ahead.
Sure that we put maximum pressure to defend our jobs, defend our sovereignty, defend our way of living. But meanwhile, as a team negotiating, we need to find off-ramps. And it is just the right thing to do. So we'll do both. That conversation with Howard Lutnick is important. The ones we have, and I'll have with Secretary Rubio as well. So we're doing that in the best interest of Canadians.
Let me just add on the auto sector, because you touched something that will really, no, but that's going to affect hundreds of thousands of people in this country. Trust me, those who are watching are listening to that. Those who are watching, we're going to fight for the auto sector every single day. I spoke to them and I say, Canadians have been there for you. Canadians have been there for the auto sector for decades since we had the auto pact. And these companies, most of them, have long-standing commitments to this country. We're going to make sure that they abide by the terms of every single agreements we have with them to make sure we protect the jobs. We had discussion with the union leaders yesterday and with the representatives from the company, and they truly understand that the reasons they came to Canada is because we have the best worker, it's because Canadians have been there for them, and we have integrated supply chain. So I just want to be clear on the auto sector. Make no mistake that we are already on their back, saying we're going to be watching like hawks as to what may happen to the auto sector, because this is a core industry for the prosperity of this country.
Imagine hearing this and being in the oil patch right now. Like,
imagine,
go ahead.
Oh, Sheila, imagine hearing this and you are a Saskatchewan canola grower with double tariffs.
Or Alberta canola grower.
Right. Yeah. Saskatchewan, Alberta, Manitoba canola growers, where they're facing double tariffs, 25%. So canola in Canada is roughly 50% sold to the United States, 50% to China, and both of those countries have a 25% tariff on canola right now. Imagine thinking about planting your crops this spring and knowing that you are not going to make a single dollar on any of it. It is devastating. Who's sticking up for our ag producers in Canada? Why are we only hearing about Ontario's precious auto sector and their precious steel manufacturers because they're union linked? That is why.
That's exactly it. Farmers on the prairies are not going to vote Liberals. So again, we're just the people they're willing to sacrifice. Most of you have not even heard about the canola tariffs. Wonder why that is. Why the mainstream media is not talking about the canola tariffs in any real substantive way. They're angry at the Americans, but is anybody doing anything about China?
No, seriously. This has not been mentioned. It has not been mentioned in any capacity. It's not being treated like an actual economic emergency on the prairies. And we've got literally tens of thousands of farmers looking at earning nothing this next year. And that is, I mean, the way that
look at this 100% tariffs will take effect March 20th in response to Ottawa's tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. So they're tariffing the Chinese electric vehicles to protect the auto sector.
Yes.
In Ontario, after they're getting gajillions of dollars to build battery plants as the companies continue to go broke, and they are just throwing the entire canola sector on the bonfire of this mess. We are the world's largest exporters of canola. Canola was actually developed in Canada to deal with our short growing seasons.
Oh, tell them. You told me this. Tell them. Tell the people what canola is. Go on. Tell them what it stands for.
Canola is a hybrid plant. It means Canadian oil, low acid. It was developed on the prairies to deal with our short growing seasons. There's a reason it ripens in the field after you cut it, and it's because we get too cold to have it continue to grow in the field. So it is engineered to ripen in the field. Now, whatever you think about seed oils, let's just put that aside for a second. This is a major market for Canadian farmers, and you're not hearing the mainstream media talk about it. You're not hearing the politicians talk about it. It is a sacrifice industry because they're trying to protect the auto sector, and then canola farmers on the prairies, one of which is on the call right now with you, we are just sacrificed to this mess. And we got to listen to them stand up and say, we are going to defend the automakers at all costs. I guess one of those costs is the canola industry here. And then just drilling out just away from canola for a second, imagine being TC Energy, hearing them say, we're going to stand up for the auto sector. TC Energy basically took Canada out of the name of the company because it was so tainted, because you just can't do business with a Canadian oil company at this point. Cenovus, Suncor, and Encana, all these companies, projects denied by the Liberals, or Teck oil company. The Liberals allowed it to die on the vine because of environmentalists largely organized out of the United States. These were Canadian jobs in Indigenous communities. And that wealth just vaporized. And then you got to listen to this South Park caricature of a French-Canadian politician saying how important the auto sector is, and they will move heaven and earth to defend it. It's revolting to me. I think they should defend auto sector jobs, but not at the expense of these other industries, and not when they haven't done a damn thing to help anybody else.
Exactly that. Girl, I love Spicy Sheila when she starts just roaring about our egg sector, because especially on the prairies, egg is king. When egg has a downturn, our retail sector suffers, our mining sector suffer. Everything takes a downturn if our farmers aren't in the fields and making money. And this is just disastrous for the prairies. It is really, really devastating that nobody on the federal level is coming to our defense in this.
Yeah, well, there's no votes to win or lose by throwing the agricultural sector under the bus, because it is a big blue block west of Winnipeg, basically. So that they don't care. They don't care. And for people who think that farmers are rich, most farmers have jobs off the farm. In my household, we both do.
Oh, yeah.
You might be equipment rich, and you might be land rich, but you are basically farming the land to pay for those other things. A lot of years, I feel like I'm a journalist with a farming habit.
Truly.
Completely.
No. Most farmers finance their crops on a yearly basis through Farm Credit Canada. This is how, there is not enough to rotationally go year after year with your own dollars. I mean, that's how tight farmers are being squeezed. And so then you add this additional promise of not making any money on it. I mean, what's the point of planting if you're not going to be able to harvest it and make your money back to be able to fulfill your commitments? It makes no sense. And there's an awful lot of farmers right now trying to pivot really hard just to find a way to sort of keep the lights on their family farms on the prairies. Well, it's devastating.
And that's a decision a lot of us farmers made a few years ago when Justin Trudeau danced his way through India, namaste'd his way through India, and came home with a tariff on pulses. So a lot of farmers made a pivot to more domestic markets. But at the end of the day, we are the world's largest exporter of canola. And either we're going to sell that, I truly believe the world needs more Canada. More Canadian oil, more Canadian agricultural products, more Canadian manufacturing products. I believe the world is better if we are filling the void as opposed to China or the more unpleasant places of the world. More Saskatchewan potash, they need more of that too. So I think Canadian farmers should be doing this, but the government is throwing up these roadblocks every step of the way, and they're making sure that, oh, by the way, there's this I'm going to go on a side quest right now.
Yeah.
So farmers can't now make money off their land, carrying huge mortgages, a lot of times, huge finance payments on equipment that can cost up to $1 million. So what happens? You get out of the family farm, who buys it up? Big corporations, Bill Gates, if you're in the United States, maybe China, who knows?
Chinese investors. Chinese investors. If you're really lucky, somebody will come along and put a solar farm on it,
right,
or a wind farm. But these are intergenerational family farms that are not finding solutions to their modern day current problems, and it is very, very sad. It's an attack on our way of life on the prairies anytime that our farmers are impacted, and it would really be nice if we had somebody sticking up for us in this moment.
Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com.